Woe to you, O earth and sea.
It's the Hop Nation
USA Podcast.
It's episode 189 of the Hop Nation USA podcast, and my microphone's fixed. It's all better, everybody. My audio doesn't suck, thank God, even though it was embarrassing last week. I'm Steve, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host Adam.
Of course, and I still have my good mic, so I'm still in the good graces of everybody.
Yes.
Glad to be back.
Great for you.
My streak continues.
You don't embarrass yourself in front of the audio guy. But we're on Zoom, and as always, since we're staying on Zoom, we try to have guests. And this week, we get to bring back not just a guest that we've had in the past, but a third mic, a guest host, a real part of the team. But now that the holidays are over, he can come back and have fun with us again. It's Dennis from the First at Brewbox.
It's awesome to be back, guys. I definitely missed you guys. Straight from the heart.
The feeling is mutual, Dennis. It's been too long.
But also this week, we have two other special guests, and we'll be talking to them throughout the program. And it is Adam Bay, also known as Happy Hour, and we'll probably refer to him under his wrestling moniker for the rest of the episode as Happy Hour to avoid confusion, and Sydney Neely. And they both, they're both part of the Diversity Council along with Dennis. But Sydney and Adam also work at 412 Brewery. So we'll be talking about those things this week. With that in mind, though, we're going to start with what everybody's drinking tonight. So who would like to go first? Anybody have anything spectacular?
Here, I'll start. So I've got, I'm going classic. I've got good old Jenny B's because that's reliable and $10 a 4-pack. It's hard to top. Hey, at the end of the day, my Asianness has to come through, and I'm a cheap bastard. So if I'm not, drinking my own beer, I'll be drinking $10 4-packs all day long. But yes, excellent color. I love the aroma. It's just such a reliable beer. I know I can depend on it to deliver when I want solid hazy.
For sure. I mean, it's a good stock up beer too. So
yeah. Good way to start the night.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's go around the clock as my perspective goes, and we'll go to Sydney.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I am actually sipping on an every once in a while from Grist House. It's one of the less common styles that you'll see. It's a Californian common, which is more of a lager yeast brew fermented at ale temperatures. And I'm just a big fan of the traditional styles, and I'm glad they're making a comeback here in Pittsburgh as well.
Is that kind of a rip on Anchor Steam? Like,
yeah, so it would be like a
fall into California common, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what I'm drinking. Really nice, really beautiful medium body beer, nice and toasty. A little bit of that hoppiness, but it's very sessionable. Comes in under 5%.
Right on. And now to me. Tonight I'm drinking. I went out of my way and I found a can of something that I haven't had that much of, but it's a brewery I like. Hop Farm with the Big Wit.
Ooh, nice.
Damn.
Hop
Look
Nation.
at that sexy ass. Go ahead.
I was going to say that would have been a good beer number 2 to have, because that would have been a nice little unintended segue for segment 2.
Well, we'll tease it just the same in segment 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Big Wit, it is a Belgian style wit beer. No bells or whistles to it. It's got that big orange peel nose to it, and it has like those fruity esters. When you drink it, it hits all the notes. But Big Wit is a good name for it because it's very flavorful. Hop Nation, Adam, you would definitely love this beer if you haven't had it.
Oh, okay, that's good to know.
Yeah. But what are you drinking tonight, though?
So I have a beer from a brewery that we haven't had on the show enough. They are here in Pittsburgh. They're one of the I'll say older breweries here in Pittsburgh. We don't give them enough love on the show through no fault of their own. That's our fault, not theirs. But this is well, I don't really know how to explain this, but this is the Big Wit from Hop Farm.
That was a good lineup, man. That was good. You put some work in on that one.
Right.
So that was a happy accident. And I don't have to describe this one anymore because Steve already did a fine job on it.
Yeah.
He did all the work for you.
He did. I love this. This is great.
So I know exactly how this happened. Is I went and did my beer stock up at House of Brews in Robinson,
Mhm.
and then I told Adam, "Hey, they have single cans of the Paddler by Grist House, that cherry cheesecake sour."
Mhm.
And then I also had picked up the can of Big Wit while I was there. So obviously he saw that.
Yeah, guess
Yep.
where I was this afternoon.
Yeah.
He
House
was
of
like,
Brews.
House of
I'm going
Brews.
to capitalize on this.
But yes, Hop Farm, I'm glad to have you back on the show. Y'all make some good stuff. We need to drink more. of
Sure.
it.
Yeah, for sure. And finally, Dennis, what are you drinking tonight?
I guess I'm batting cleanup. This seemed like a really good starter beer for the night. The Pennsylvania Loophole from East End Brewing Company, which is, for all you guys and girls out there that don't know, is a series that East End put on to help a lot of smaller breweries that may or may not have the ability to can, which is super cool because especially during the time that we live in now, during COVID, everyone knows to go is the option, and a lot of breweries that didn't have the ability to do that with cans, they only had growlers, and you can only fit so many of them in your fridge. Easton went ahead and did this series. So this one specifically is a dry hop pilsner coming in at 4.8%. So I thought it was a really good beer to help, ease into this Hop Nation USA episode.
Awesome.
Perfect.
And that's one of those ones where like East End did the canning, but like all the breweries that participated, they sent those cans out to those breweries, right? Like
Correct.
they're
Yes. So
Yeah.
you can go to those breweries and pick up this beer. And I didn't know initially it was intended to be a series, but they keep popping them out relatively quickly.
right on.
Oh, people keep buying them.
Yeah.
No,
Why wouldn't you?
That's good as well, because another problem currently a lot of places have had issues with are the can shortages as well. So that's really good for East End to be working with a lot of people on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people who weren't able to can and probably couldn't get in the canning now if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
Right on. Right on. Well, as I mentioned in the intro, all of our guests tonight are part of the Diversity Council. And this was something that you guys kind of originally announced at the Cheers Yins Fest that was hosted by Fuel by Hops. And you guys held a panel just talking about your goals and aspirations. And since then, you've added more members. But just to give everybody the rundown who wasn't a part of Cheers Yins Fest, what is the Diversity Council?
So basically, the idea or how it came to be, I moved to Pittsburgh a little less than 5 years ago, and I was previously in Houston. So obviously, what's the one thing that I'm going to do? I'm going to visit all the local breweries. One common theme that I found going from one tap room to the next was an extreme, not just, a mild lack of diversity. It seemed like there was an extreme lack of diversity. Now, mind you, I don't expect Pittsburgh to be Houston. Houston is a major metropolis. But that being said, the disparity was, eye-opening for me. Especially, considering I've grown up in New York City, I've lived in Atlanta, I've lived in Houston, and I've lived in Ann Arbor, and those four places comprise about 80% of my life right there. So, I'm used to seeing a lot of diversity. For a few years, I thought to myself, I talked to people about it, other people, some people feel similarly, but there's nothing really actionable. There's a lot of talk about it, whether it's, we bring it up in casual conversation, or it's brought up more vocally by people like Dennis or people like Dave Bracey and Ed Bailey. But it seems like there's no traction. And in fact, even Fresh Fest, I would say Fresh Fest was sort of an indirect motivation for me. When I'm just like, Pittsburgh is the home of Fresh Fest, but in that courtyard of featured breweries, there was no Pittsburgh brewery there. And that's when I thought to myself, and I've been thinking about putting together this council since 2019. So after Fresh Fest of 2019, I just had the idea rolling around in my head. Little things came up here and there that sidetracked me or derailed me from following through. Then last summer/fall, I started thinking, you know, who would go well with this council? Because this is not something that I have the ability or the knowledge or the insight to tackle on my own. So I need to expand and make sure that I bring enough perspectives, bring diverse perspectives. How about that? To both aggregate knowledge, wisdom, and data on what all the experiences are, because I can only speak to my own experience. I can't speak to other people's or other demographic experiences. And then figure out, okay, between all the information we've presented and the variety of skills that we possess, what can we do to put forth, you know, a central focus, a channel, a conduit, something to kind of bring all this energy together and start, you know, making some traction, making some progress to seeing the change that we want to see.
Yeah.
Right on, right on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Agreed.
Good period, Dennis.
Way to contribute, man. Way to contribute.
Hey, man, I thought it was my moment, and I was right.
So I just wanted to get a little more into the goals of the Diversity Council. Obviously, you know, like you're saying, you walk into a Pittsburgh bar or a brewery, and you basically see the same person over and over again. And obviously, you would love for more diverse, you know, just experiences for people to come in and, you know, enjoy beer, because Pittsburgh makes a lot of great beer. So you want people to, one, want to come in, and two, want to stay. So could you also just speak to some of the goals and some of the ways you plan to accomplish that with the Diversity Council?
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the ways, Steve, that we talked about in, you know, a good bit of our meetings are creating some really unique events, you know, tying in food, some beer collaborations, just really acting as conversation starters and just showing, you know, some of the great things of what diversity can bring to beer and to all of our local communities. We've seen it with Fresh Fest. You know, Fresh Fest is a couple of days a year. It's an awesome event, but this has to be an ongoing topic. We saw that with the Black is Beautiful collaboration that swept the nation, which is now an international collaboration that breweries are doing in support all over the world. So this is just a way to keep that conversation going. You know, at the end of the day, we can't tell business owners how to run their business, nor would we want to, but we want to be a conduit, a resource. So these business owners, these brewery operators, and if it leaks outside the industry, great. But for them to go, you know, for them to think, okay, I want to have more of an inclusive atmosphere. I want to be more diverse, but I don't know how to do it. And that's an absolutely fair question. There's no exact playbook out there, especially in the craft beer industry. We want to be that resource in the community for these business owners to reach out to. Hey, how do I do this? And it's not that we have all the answers, but collectively, we're going to pull from enough perspectives to be able to give them a place to start. And I think that's all we want to do, is have these places ask, how can I be more inclusive and diverse? And where do I start? And for us to actually be able to help them.
Dennis, that was a much better answer than last time. I was just...
Oh, I apologize. Hold on. Yes.
And to also kind of touch on that as well, just to kind of piggyback off that, very good point, Dennis. Not only do we want these business owners and these leaders in this organization to be able to have some guidance, we want people within these communities to feel not just comfortable going in and being within this industry, whether it be you're coming in as a customer, you're coming in being front of house, back of house, production, social media, marketing, whatever it is. We want the people that we are trying to represent to feel not just comfortable, but welcomed and wanted. So I think that's a big part of our goal as well, kind of on the flip side of that coin there.
Yep. And I think, for those of us in the craft beer industry, we didn't just one day wake up and decide we want to be in craft beer. It doesn't happen in a vacuum. Usually it happens from an aggregation of positive experiences with craft beer. So what we want to do is create an opportunity for positive experiences in craft beer for a larger pool of people, because at the end of the day, a larger potential pool of people means more potential talent that can help contribute to the craft beer game.
That was one of the things that I noticed taking a look at your council members was it wasn't just brewers. Like you said, it was front of house, it was back of house, it was people like Dennis doing the Levi Strauss approach. I mean, it took all angles from just the craft beer industry. And I really liked that. But one of the questions that I had was when you started getting people together, did you approach them? Did they approach you? Was it a combination of the two? How did that come together for those individuals?
Well, it started small where I approached a couple of people, and then from that couple of people, we got ideas on who else we should add. So, I can't possibly know everybody myself, or I can't know everything about everybody on my own. So the few people that I started with, they provided me information on who else we should add, and that's how we came to be.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And to touch on that too, piggybacking off of my guy Adam over here, happy hour.
Happy hour.
We since our I'm going to put it this way, since our coming out, we have actually had a couple individuals reach out, and we're really happy about that as well. That's kind of going to touch on a point that we're going to come into later here. I'll just kind of go over it. But we are really trying to just focus on our starting and getting our foundation and our roots first. And then we will definitely be looking to bring more people on. We're very happy with a lot of the people that have been reaching out and been very interested in joining and trying to move this community and this mission forward.
Awesome.
Sorry, I was taking a drink.
I thought,
I know, it's like, hold on, wait a second.
I know
heard
what we're
noises
waiting on. Yes.
Taking a drink. So now that we've touched a little bit on it, but like we're in 2021, everybody's getting vaxxed up as they should. Looking forward, do you have any solid plans for like your first big coming out event, I guess? Something that people can get excited for, to look forward to?
So, Sid, would you like to discuss She Knows More Than You?
Yeah, sure. I'm actually going to hop back real fast, and I'm going to tell you, since we discussed the members and like how we've brought everyone on, I'm just going to go over real fast who was not able to be here tonight, who is also on the council. I'm going to start with Lauren Hughes. You probably know her name really well. It's been in a lot of the media recently as far as beer in Pittsburgh. Lauren was previously brewing as, I believe, an assistant brewer at Penn Brewery, and she will now be the brewmaster at Necromancer, which is opening, hopefully they're looking for this spring. And then to go off of that, Mikey, I like to call him Mikey, my guy. He also will be brewing at Necromancer. Previously, he was at Hitchhiker, and I met Mikey at Beerport, which is how we came to know each other. So that's those two members, and then Adam Sorma. I think if you know beer in Pittsburgh, you know Adam's name. He did a lot of really wonderful journalism and writing for Very Local and managed a lot of their stuff really well. He is now with Trace, doing some work with them. And then Kevin Stewart is our last member here. He's a very prolific home brewer. He's won many awards. How long has he been home brewing now, Adam?
I want to say at least 5 years. Yeah, at least 5 years.
So
and the funny tangent is
members.
both he and Lauren were on the Pittsburgh episode of Beerland. They were both featured on that. Yep.
Yeah, so those are all of our members. But yeah, Sorry, to go back into what you were saying.
And
I
Adam Sorma
appreciate
was on 2 previous episodes of this show
so far.
so far.
But I appreciate that that the council was able to include the home brewing branch as well. That seems like kind of a branch that's looked over a bit in the craft beer community whenever it comes to, you know, festivals and things like that on a grander scale. Yes, home brewers have their own festivals and things like that, but I'm glad to see that that branch was brought into this council as well. I thought that was a very savvy move.
Well, I think it's important to account for it because, you know, there are many people, many brewers in Pittsburgh, you know, who were competitive homebrewers. I mean, you know, just to kind of briefly touch at 412, Ryan Slicker, he wouldn't have even thought of going into brewing as a career if he wasn't, you know, unwittingly, if he didn't have 3 beers unwittingly entered into a competition where he won first, second, and third. 3 beers. That's exactly what happened. He didn't even think about being a brewer as a career until that happened. So when he won first, second, and third for beers, he personally didn't enter, but his friends entered for him. That's how it worked.
Yeah, homebrewing is like the jumping off point for so many current brewers.
Right.
As you're saying, like the number of breweries that we've talked to through this show that, you know, everybody has some sort of homebrew experience. So yeah, it's a great entry point. And, you know, again, that diversity can be lacking as well in the homebrew.
Absolutely.
Scene. You know, Adam and I have, you know, we've participated in a number of homebrew events. We've been homebrewing shittily for, I don't know, 6-7 years. But it's, you know, it does lack that diversity as well.
Steve, you are an award-winning home brewer. I never.
Oh yeah, I won one. Black
Hey,
IPA in the bag, baby. But to jump back to the event that's coming up, she knows more than you.
Yes. So this is going to be more of an ongoing series of collaborations that we hope will line up with some good events coming up here in Pittsburgh. So the kind of the story behind this one was something that both Lauren and I have had experience with personally. And this idea came to fruition after I had a customer come into the tap room and start kind of asking me questions and talking like, well, what's the IBUs on this beer? And I said basically, well, you know that the IBUs don't always mean that that's going to be a super bitter beer because it's higher. It's all about your ratio with your gravity as well. And it was just one of those things where I was like, man, I know so much and I still have these people that think I know nothing, which is a little bit disheartening, unfortunately, but that's why we wanted to go into this beer, basically kind of an ode to all of the women or female identifying people that are within craft that know what they're talking about, that regularly have to face that gatekeeping and that criticism, which fortunately I feel there is a lot more availability in craft with a lot of women brewing and a lot of women that are front of house and again going more into back of house, most notably in Pittsburgh. I'm going to go with Lauren, and then Katie Sullivan at Dancing Gnome is, you know, brewing there as well, doing great things. So the goal behind this one is to put this beer out in collaboration for at least 2021. We would like to do this quarterly, and our first beer will be with Trace. Not Trace, I apologize. Our first beer will be with Necromancer. And Lauren is going to brew this beer. Obviously, it makes the most sense. She's on our council. She's a great brewer. They have the resources, and she's going to be doing that kind of in collaboration with when we have our official website, everything up. We want to have everything prepared and ready to go. So we're going to have this collaborative beer be a sour style. We feel it's a really good introductory style that is also very easy to have so much variety on. Like you could have, oh my goodness, you could have a goza, you could have a traditional sour, you could have something that's open fermentation, and it could be so unique and so different. And that's kind of the goal in that too. We don't want something that's going to be just like straightforward and nothing different on it. So that's why we want to do a sour as well. And kind of the goal on that, we're still hammering out the details on this, but each collaboration we do, we would like the brewery that we would work with some guidance, we would like the brewery that we work with to choose an organization to have a certain percentage or a certain amount of the proceeds go to an organization. Lauren actually already chose, she wants to, hope I'm correct here, she wants to go with Sisters Pittsburgh, which is a really, really good organization here in Pittsburgh that works with people that are within the Black and trans community that are in Southwestern PA. So I think she wants to choose that one to be our first organization to work with. That's kind of the goal behind it for each brew that we do. So the first one will be Necromancer, and it will be when we have our official coming out and telling everybody what we're about and having everything down pat and more solidified plans for our coming year.
Awesome. Well, everybody can be on the lookout for that sour coming out from Necromancer. And as you mentioned earlier, Lauren and Necromancer are opening up later in the spring. I've read March 1st, but I don't know how accurate that is. I don't want to.
Yeah, so they'll be opening before they do the sour with us, hopefully. And again, right now, currently in the state of the world, there's always going to be hiccups already with construction and outfitting and getting everything done, but they've got a really nice timeline, and they're working really hard to get everything set up as quickly as possible and to have it done right.
Yeah, we've learned very early talking to breweries that you don't put a date on anything until it's actually just a soft open date.
Right.
Facts.
Exactly.
Yes.
Facts.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're winding down this first segment. So be on the lookout for the coming things from the Diversity Council. But let's come back to the beers that we're drinking this evening.
Well, actually, Steve, sorry to interrupt, but I figure with time winding down, I was going to mention two quick things.
Okay, go ahead.
One, as far as another, event and educational thing. So the She Knows More Than You is the first thing we have coming out later this year. We also have another project called Culture Shock, where, we'll do things like partner with food trucks or ethnic food vendors to try and do a pairing, a matching, or something that will highlight or accentuate specific ethnic cuisines. So that's another project we have in mind, because at the end of the day, both the She Knows More Than You as well as the Culture Shock both serve to inform, educate, as well as surround an event and an appreciation. With She Knows More Than You, we want to appreciate the women in the industry and understand that they care about and know as much about beer as everyone else, and also with the cultures to understand that beer, I treat beer as part of the culinary universe, and that for as creative as we are with beer, we are getting there in terms of, we're treating beer and a beer palate almost like food at this point, adjuncts, pastries, you name it. And then the second thing, which I think you guys will really be interested in, is in September, provided that we have a new normal before then, but I have things in the works for a September small beer and wrestling festival.
So we're going to get into that in the next segment. I was going to say that we can touch on that a little bit more, and I think we might even touch on it in the third segment a little bit.
Oh, perfect.
See, Happy Hour, he knows how to tease the audience, to draw them in, to keep listening. He got that on lockdown.
Yeah. So for now, though, let's come back to the beers. Adam, Pop Nation USA, Adam, sorry.
That's all right. That's all right.
Why don't you talk about the Big Wit for the both of us?
The Big Wit, because this beer is more my style than your style, Steve. I like it.
No, it isn't. We both love Belgians.
Well, I'm talking, so I get to.
It's his fish story. Let him tell it.
That's right. It was this big. But I like this beer because I'm sorry, but just regular down the middle wits don't exist nearly as often as they should. And this is a a good wit beer, good Belgian wit that, you know what, it's just good for sitting out on the back porch if we could do that in the middle of February, which we can't right now. I like it. It's got a good bit of, a little bit of coriander in there, a little bit of not quite spice, but it's just a good Belgian wit. It's just a good beer. Good job.
I like
Farm.
it.
I'm going to drink it again.
Yeah. Fine. You got the fish story, but I got the photos. So
And with your powers combined, you can rate a beer, which is more work than 90% of Untapped.
Yeah. Dennis, coming back to your beer.
Yeah, so the Pennsylvania Loophole, their dry hop Pilsner release, I thought it was really good. It's one of those easy drinkers, but it has a hoppy backbone in case you are in the mood for something, with a little bit of IBUs, but you don't want to go over the top with the ABV like I will in future beers. So this is a good starter beer. I like it.
Hell yeah. Sydney?
Yeah, so I actually finished up my Grist House every once in a while, which is a California Common steam beer. Really nice, really got that maltiness to it, but it's not super offensive. You get a little bit of that hoppiness as well. Comes in right under 5% and really just easy and sessional. But I've moved on to a couple of beer now.
Excellent. We'll talk about in the next segment.
Okay.
Happy hour. Your
Even
beer.
Sydney's got that tease for the audience going as well.
Well,
Gotta keep people going.
That's right.
we've got Old Faithful Brew Gentleman Jenny B. Of course, I love the tagline, a beer you can always come back to. It's soft, it's balanced, 6.8% ABV, and a great value for a local beer.
Right on. All right, everyone. You've got a bunch of teases ahead of you. We're talking wrestling. We're talking 412. We're talking whatever Sydney's drinking. So stay tuned. We'll be back right after this.
Hop Nation USA, I have but one question for you. What time is it?
Happy
Happy hour.
On the dot.
I guess
And
I missed that
now,
part.
for those of you in attendance and the many more who will be watching this later,
On YouTube.
ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to drink beer. And if you're not down with that, I've got two words for you. Chug it.
USA.
Cheers.
Don't say those words. I would. Oh, we doing this? Oh, all right. I'd have jumped into it. This is a botanical sour. I don't know if I want to chug this.
Sydney, bring in the ruckus. I love it.
Chug it at the rate of, a sip every 3 seconds. Just a really, really long chug.
There you go.
Steve
Yeah.
bringing in his I'm in my 30s excuse.
Yes.
I know what Steve does on Thanksgiving. That chugging a beer ain't nothing to him.
I say
Yeah.
he doesn't though.
Hey, it
Easy
is.
peasy.
I mean, on the day we're recording this, it is Fat Tuesday, and if I want to get blasted, I can get blasted. But I'm trying to host a podcast.
Responsible chaos.
Yes, it is segment 2 of episode 189, and as you heard, Happy Hour brought us back in with all the excitement of a pro wrestler because he is one. And we teased at the beginning, or we teased at the end of last segment, that there might be something in the works, and we'll get into that at the top of this segment as soon as we get through what's everybody drinking. So let's start with Hop Nation. Adam, you're at the top of the clock this time.
All right. And so if you have the same beer, Steve, I don't know if there's anything we can do with us.
Yeah, I just want to see. That's why I wanted to get out of the way of the mystery.
Well, so I have another beer that we haven't had on the show enough. Another Pittsburgh brewery, 11th Hour. This is their Slice. Yes, and this is
delicious.
their blueberry peach. And I got into this a little bit before we started recording, and oh yeah, this is the business. Yeah, I love this beer. This is the first time I've had one of their Slice beers. They've done 2 or 3 versions of them. This is the first one I've had. Oh yeah, we're doing all right over here.
Is that a blueberry sour? Is what you said?
It is blueberry and peach.
Mm.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of blueberry pie, so I might be hankering to go grab some of that if they still have it.
I just like blueberry beers.
I just had it. When did I pick this up today? Actually, so it's out there. You can find it, and it's not wild blue, so it's a good blueberry beer.
Excellent.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I strongly debated it because, again, I saw it at House of Brews as well, and I strongly debated getting that one, but it didn't. Instead, what I did get was a beer from another brewery that we don't talk about too much, but we had one rather recently from them, from Soebel's Obscure Brewery out of Greensburg, Jeanette, PA, in and about that area. I picked up their Mayapple's Maple Brown Ale.
That looks delicious.
And it is.
Oh my goodness, look at that.
That sounds amazing.
Look at Dennis is like, oh.
Dennis, stop trying to push your face into your laptop.
So obviously it's not 2060 yet, or else that wouldn't work.
Television.
So what's funny, Steve, is you and I had the exact opposite experience because I had that beer in hand.
Oh, okay.
And I put it back down and I picked up the slice.
Nah, this is getting weird now. This is getting
that
weird.
That was some good intuition there.
Yes.
That's some alternate reality shit right there.
Yeah. The butterfly flapped its wings and Adam grabbed a slice.
I don't know how true that is. I picture Adam just getting distracted and going, oh, this is what I meant to grab.
Go wrong.
Blueberries. This beer, though, it's pretty classic brown ale as far as everything goes. Like, it smells like a brown ale up front. There is a little bit of maple, which is usually kind of a hard flavor to achieve that we've noticed. But yeah, you still get a little bit of maple throughout. And then on the back end, it's very, very malty, almost like an amber ale or like a straub. Like, it's got a malty back end to it like that. So yeah, pretty decent overall though.
I'll have to go back and pick it up then.
Yeah, check it out. On to happy hour.
So I am drinking Sixpoint Party Favors. It's a hazy imperial IPA. It's a lactose IPA, so it's got that extra feel. Not to mention, it has Galaxy, Strata, and Cashmere hops. So if you've had Cashmere hops, you know that the Cashmere hops in general just have that like almost like a soft flavor to them. So with lactose, it just is a good complement. So it's sort of a pillowy beer, and definitely it's a sneaky one at 8.4%.
Oh shit! All right.
Yeah, I could get into that.
At least a little bit.
I could get into.
You can't drink 8 of them.
Damn it! That would have been a good beer to have on tonight because it's Fat Tuesday and that's Mardi Gras party favors.
Yeah.
Dumb. Anyway,
Show's canceled. Everybody go home.
Got to restart.
Good thing we already are.
We're done. That's it.
Sydney, what have you picked
now?
up? Yes.
Yeah. Oh man. I don't know. I just picked up this beer from 412 Brewery. I don't know if you guys have had them on the podcast before. Maybe you should at some point. Who knows? So I have, and I'll show you guys here real quick. Real nice and thick boy. This is the Deep Obsession, which is an IPA from 412 Brewing. It's not quite, it's right under 8, and it's at 7.5, so it doesn't quite fall into that double IPA category, depending on who you are and what you think a double IPA is. So it's real nice. It's got Citra, Mosaic, and Wania hops. It's real, you get that nice citrus on the nose, but it's nice, strong, a little bit of that high hop, a little sweet. You get that nice citrusiness, but you don't think it's 7.5%. You go to drink it and you're like, this one might be a little bit dangerous. So that's what I am drinking tonight.
So, funny little story about how Waimea hops ended up in there. So it was supposed to be Citra, Mosaic, and Simcoe. We didn't have any. So Malcolm was like, you know what? Waimea is going to be close enough. Betcha
that one really
average person will not notice the difference, and that's how we got Waimea hops in the Deep Obsession.
That's awesome.
And they're also they're really a good hop too. So it's not to say they're less than Citra. they also have their own really nice properties to bring into a beer as well.
Yeah, but I mean, just in general, Waimea is one of those roads not commonly taken. So I'm just like, hey, you know what? We used this in lieu of Simcoe, and it turned out great.
I love it. You guys didn't have one of the most common hops, but you have Waimea. Well, we got this just here. Like, why was that there?
Sounds like task failed successfully.
Yes.
It's like,
failures?
Did you do your homework? Yes.
All right, Dennis, you're going to back clean up again.
I love it, man. This is what I do. So the brew that I'm having right now is from a small nano micro brewery, Abjuration Brewing Company, located in McKees Rocks, Pennsylvania.
Oh.
I am dipping into something a little bit outside of my wheelhouse from what I traditionally drink. I thought, hey, haven't seen these guys from Hop Nation USA in a while, so I'll hit something a little different right now. It is their Botanical Sour, their first volume that they're doing of this guy, and it is a sour ale with pineapple and sage.
Ooh, yum!
Yeah.
I love a sage in a beer if it's done right. If it's done right.
On the nose, there's like you get the pineapple. Like the pineapple is heavy. Oh, smells so good on the
Oh man,
mouth.
you ever grill pineapple with sage on top?
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let me
All
tell
right,
you.
well,
Do that and then top a burger with that.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Oh,
I can
man,
see-
that
don't do
sounds
that to me.
delicious. And honestly, it tastes it's layering. You get the pineapple, you get a little bit of sage because the sage can overpower the beer. It's very light on the back end. This is a good beer. Honestly, like it's a sour, but it goes away relatively quickly and it doesn't hang around.
Nice. Doesn't stick on the tongue.
Interesting.
Yeah, correct. It's on the tongue. It's like, hey, this is a sour. Wait, what am I drinking? And then you drink it again, and that's how I drank a six-pack. No, just
No, you didn't. They sell them in 4s.
Well, Steve, in that scenario, I had dementia, so you're just me.
In that scenario, I was drunk, so shut up. Right on. All right. Well, moving into the segment, we teased a little bit at the end of last and the beginning of this, but finally we're going to get into Happy Hour's big announcement. September, I saw this post on the internet and I got excited. And then I told Adam about it and he got excited.
It's true.
But what is your grand idea, Happy Hour?
So September 18th, mind you, this is all contingent upon us achieving a new normal that can accommodate this. At the same time, I tried to scale this event both small enough and potentially spaced out enough to respect, what a post-pandemic world may be. But I'm planning a beer and wrestling festival. We're talking maybe 25-ish breweries, maybe about 400-ish attendees. That way we can space people out enough and not pack people in like sardines at an event, because at the same time, that's still only 7 months away. So, if we hit a new normal, we're still in close to this whole pandemic circumstance. And I want to make sure that we're accommodating comfort zones and making sure that we allow spacing, because the last thing I want to do is come into a new normal and then have everybody packed in and we're back to square one, and I don't want to do that. So that's why this was a small scale event that I'm trying to do, both because 2020 has hurt the beer festival scene as well as indie wrestling. So both beer festivals and indie wrestling took a huge hit, and people are clamoring for both to come back. And I figured something at a more intimate level, allowing for spacing, would be a good way for us to wean back in. Now, that being said, beer and wrestling are both worlds I dance in. And one thing I did want to highlight on this, at least 2/3 of my wrestling roster, that includes wrestlers, referees, etc., will be either people of color, women, LGBTQ+, So that way, I'm bringing the diversity aspect in there, because you guys know most of wrestling, or, since the beginning of time, has always been straight white Christian, what you're spoon fed, in that sense. And the way I see it, just like beer, if you are of age and you wish to participate, wrestling should be for everyone, just like beer is for everyone who wishes to participate. There should be, don't get me wrong, Reinheitsgebot has its place in the beer history, but at the same time, that's not where it should end. And with wrestling, we should not end up with the, traditional jingoism that has been rampant throughout the 70s and 80s. Society has evolved. Beer has evolved. Wrestling needs to evolve too. And I'm glad that there are different promotions that are getting on board with that. But I think it's important that, if that it become more mainstream. We shouldn't be like, oh, this one LGBTQ plus wrestler made it. That's great. No, that's not where it should end. Any people should be able to make it and should not have to fit cookie cutter types. We should thrive as who we are, and not who somebody else wants us to be.
Right. I would say, speaking to that point, like Adam and I are both, we grew up in the Attitude Era and we're fans through that. And, yeah, like you're saying, happy hour, it's very much just kind of the same single, hey, big white dude beat up on other big white dude, not a whole lot of diversity going on through there. But I think nowadays, for older fans like us, the millennials, I'll use the word, I don't care. But the millennials are very much, we're just into the storytelling and we're into the athleticism. We don't care, like, the backgrounds don't matter as much as long as you're entertaining. So if you can come and entertain, if you're if you're a woman, or if you're LGBTQ plus, or whatever it is, are you entertaining? We're going to watch you and we're going to support you, because that's what we want. We want the best possible product.
And I mean, I've lost, over the years, I've lost many a booking or many a payday because I refused to play the template, bad guy character to feed a xenophobic angle. I refuse to do that. I'm not about the lowest common denominator. And I mean, I'll be frank. I am one of the worst. I mean, I'm fully trained, but I'm one of the worst technical wrestlers out there, but I am one of the most entertaining wrestlers on the indie circuit. And that's why I get booked on super indie shows. In fact, in April, I've got 2 major bookings. I'm booked for Generations Championship Wrestling down in Tampa for WrestleMania weekend. Nice. You don't get a Mania weekend booking in a Mania city for nobody. That's one.
Damn.
And 2, I'm booked for Intergender Bonanza on April 24th. And just to put in perspective, Intergender Bonanza, so I've been on 3 Intergender Bonanza events last year. One of them had Mike Orlando on it, and it was a Rumble style event. And I warned everybody, my gimmick, I have the invincible beer gut. And Mike Orlando was there. It almost came to a no sell Mike Orlando. I was like, you hit me in the gut, I'm going to no sell you.
Hey, Steve.
I mean, you have to gimmick. I'm like, you do that. Oh, actually, there was an event, a charity event I did in Ohio in mid-2019. Madman Fulton was in the event. So when his number was drawn for that Rumble, he came in, he cleared out the ring. He went to punch me, and I just kind of, without thinking about it, sidestep. And I'm just like, ha, you missed. Because I'm not going to stand there and sell a no punch. If you miss, you miss. I'm going to point out that you missed. So then he choke slammed me in the middle of the ring. And I was like, okay, I just got choke slammed by Madman Fulton.
Worth it.
Invincible beer gut. That's freaking awesome. That right there gave me hope that Steve and I could do some type of duo in the indie circuit. I don't know, Steve. Maybe.
You got to get my fat ass on a treadmill real hard.
No, you show up for a couple minutes, you talk some smack, you do a couple of things, you roll out, I roll in.
How about this, Dennis?
I don't know. It sounds like fun.
Dennis, I'll manage you, no problem. and I'll go
So
in and I'll
question,
throw grains
Steve
in
and
people's eyes.
You guys watch any local indie wrestling by chance?
We've gone to KSWA shows in the past.
So speaking of KSWA, Brohemoth is going to be on the event. So,
All right.
And in fact, I have a 1-1 record against Brohemoth. So I
Nice.
actually have a recorded win against Brohemoth.
Nice.
Damn.
The only thing I'll say is, Jack Massacre, if you're listening, I don't think you're all that tall.
I've been in the locker room with Jack Massacre a few times. He actually is probably about 6'8"ish.
Yeah, no, I've stood next to
So
him.
he really is that tall.
Yeah.
Madman Fulton, when he chokeslammed me, he got me way up there. I was a little concerned at how high up I got.
Up in the rafters.
Though actually, funny wrestling related story, not in the ring, but back in 2011, when I was on doing a consulting engagement for University of Arizona, for 4 weeks in a row, flying to and from Tucson to Atlanta, or Atlanta to Tucson, I was on a flight with the Big Show. And there was one of those flights, he didn't get into first class. So he was sitting in that first row behind first class. So half of him was like out into the aisle.
That poor guy.
Yeah, I felt bad for him. Because I mean, he's like 6'11", and 6'11", over 400 pounds, and half of him is just like out in the aisle. I'm like, oh man. You know, if I was almost tempted to give up my first class seat to him, but I was like, nah, he'd never put me over.
But he didn't.
Of all the other times he gets it, it's fine.
Right.
So, yeah, we definitely are looking forward to that event. And I think it's a great idea. And, you know, again, it's a beer fest. So if there's that possibility that wrestlers can collab with breweries, I think that would be something cool. Because that was something we loved from Brutal Beer Fest, the metal and
Oh man, oh no. I live to talk on that, I live pretty much, maybe I could throw a stone at Mr. Smalls. So the loss of Brutal Beer Fest is still fresh in my heart.
That's actually where Steve and I met, and that's what, you know, how First Sip and Hop Nation USA podcast actually cross paths. Steve just comes walking out a little tipsy, but then he sees like all the food items made out of beer we had. He's like, what you got there?
So I will point out one collab that is confirmed. So Necromancer Brewing is going to collab with the Nightmare Scarlet. So she is going to be the wrestler to collab
That's
with
pretty
Necromancer.
cool.
That sounds appropriate.
Man, we could talk wrestling all night.
Yeah, we can, but we shouldn't.
We should probably get back to the beer.
Right.
We should.
We have a point to make here.
Yes, we
We talk as much as we want. Steve decides what makes it and what doesn't.
Right.
Well, the Zoom timer also decides.
Right. Yeah.
The other thing we wanted to talk about was 412 Brewery, and it's recently gone under another change, and it's gone through a change of ownership. Adam is now co-owner, and you mentioned Ryan Sickler, who from Fury, is also now part owner as well. Can you speak just like how is that coming about?
Sure. So basically, this was the change because a group of 5 of us ended up buying it from the previous owner. So the ownership group consists of myself, Ryan Slicker, Mike Lynch, Malcolm Fraser, and Rocco Iraci. So 4 of us, myself, Ryan, Mike, and Rocco, knew each other from Fury because we all had, Ryan was the brewer at Fury, Mike did a lot of operation stuff at Fury, I was doing sales and bartending at Fury, and Rocco did some sales at Fury. So that's how the 4 of us knew each other professionally. I mean, we knew each other outside of profession, so it just kind of helped that we already had a very good rapport. Not to mention, myself and Ryan knew Malcolm for a couple of years. You know, basically, he was a good guy, a great resource to learn about beer. I learned an awful lot from Malcolm in terms of expanding my beer knowledge. So it was sort of a perfect storm of events that brought all of us together. And, we had been exploring, either acquiring or starting a brewery for the last over a year. I want to say since the end of 2019. Since the end of 2019,
it's been something that you guys have been talking to me about for, oh my gosh. Oh yeah. End of, I think fall of 2019 is when it was the first discussions, and I was like, oh, I'm on board. Let's go.
Yeah. So, but it's one of those where, we were looking at different scenarios. Then the pandemic came up, and things came to a halt, and then we're navigating, the real life situation of pandemic, no less. And then the 412 situation was an opportunity that kind of fell into our lap. So what happened was in early 2020, Ryan was doing some brews on contract, basically. So he was a part-time brewer, and he was brewing beers for them in 2020. And Ryan had the conversation and discovered that, hey, the previous owner of 412 was open to the idea of selling, because for him, it was more a hobby, because he already was a restaurant owner and is looking at real estate opportunities. In fact, may have exercised real estate opportunities. So, he was busy with bigger things, whereas compared to what he has in his portfolio, the brewery was, hobby level, small change compared to what he was doing.
It was something that he very much enjoyed on an individual level, but he was dedicating so much of his time to his other efforts that he wasn't able to fully dedicate to 412.
That's a good summary, Sid. And I think that's a good way to put it, because I think, for everything that he was invested in, the brewery would end up being neglected as a result, simply because of how much energy was required for everything else. So this being a good opportunity for, people who want to run a brewery and own a brewery, being present, and Ryan already knowing the system, it lent itself to a good opportunity. And that's how the situation came to be.
Right on. And Sydney, you'd mentioned that you've been working at Beerport, but how long have you been with 412 working their front of house?
Oh gosh. So, I mean, it's been something, again, this has been in the works for quite a long time. And I was first approached to be involved in any sense back in around late 2019. And as the ownership slowly was making its way into 412, I was involved in pretty much everything starting in 2019, which that process, the communication was still kind of few and far between, simply because there wasn't much to communicate at that point. Officially, I started in July of this year. But again, I've been pretty well involved since late 2019. But yeah, I'd say July of this year, and it's been really ramping up as far as we were just able to take over the social media. So I'm doing a lot of the social media posting with Rocco's wife. She's helping as well, simply because I had a very full schedule. I still had a full-time job at the time. But yeah, we've just taken over the social media posting, and we're ramping up on that and trying to get that taken care of. We're working on the food truck bookings, because that's something that's kind of like dear to my heart. I know, Luke from Blue Sparrow. I know a lot of these people that run these food trucks, and it's a very cohesive and a very mutually beneficial relationship currently. It already has been, but with the food trucks, we want to be able to support them, and they're in a position right now where they can also support us with these regulations and those meal requirements. So we've been ramping up. I've been taking on additional roles, so taking over more of the social media, taking over some more of these bookings and planning events and stuff like that. We obviously aren't planning too many events right now We want to be very conscious of the public health, and we want to keep our customers that come in, we want to keep them safe, as well as our staff. So officially in the role in July of 2020, and really leading more into that as we go further and make more changes.
Right on. And I assume, since now that it's official and it's out in the known space, that you guys are taking over 412. Can you speak a little bit to like any of the styles we can look forward to? Beers planned, and when do you expect like are beers on tap already that you guys have changed out the recipes for?
So go ahead, Adam.
All right, no, but basically I'll say this. So it's going to be sort of a phased approach because we just got into the ownership aspect. But that being said, we have slowly begun to transition into the new library. So just as far as what we have on tap now, we have a session hazy, we have standard hazy, we have
what I'm drinking right now.
Yeah, exactly. The Deep Obsession. We've got the Mango Madness, which is a mango sour. We've got the Kelly Kolsch, which is probably one of the best crispy boys in town. And we've got Golden God, which is a British golden ale. And let me tell you, the Kelly Kolsch, and I'm not exaggerating either. I would put it up against any Kolsch in town because Slicker is excellent with the crispy boys. Wait until around Cinco de Mayo and he does his Mexican lager again. He does one of the best Mexican lagers in town. And actually, if I recall, the 3 beers that he won first, second, and third for in the homebrew competition years ago were all crispy boys. They're all crispy boys, and that's where he really excels. I mean, but in general, as far as expectations, you can expect a couple of IPAs, you can expect a fruited sour, you can expect a crispy boy. You should see some stouts here and there because that's what the market demands. But in general.
We're also to kind of give a look at the coming weeks, just to give an idea so people can come in and grab some cans, or if they want to have a beer and a meal. I can't give you an exact timeline because I don't want to speak for Slicker, but we will be working on, Adam, we're going to be working on a Mexican mole stout. We're going to be working on a new IPA. I'm not going to tell you what kind of IPA. You're just going to have to come drink it or buy it. And we will also, surprise, motherfuckers.
Sid, you leaned into that one. And you physically leaned into that swear word. I saw it.
That one.
Motherfucker stays.
Well, that's from that's a quote from a Dexter. If anyone knows Dexter, the show. That's
good old Sergeant Dokes, R.I.P.
Yeah. And then what was it? Mexican mole stout, a nice IPA, and we are also going to do the one that I have been looking forward to the most. I'm like trying not to slap my table here. We are going to be doing a blueberry tea sour. It's absolutely delicious.
Ooh.
So keep an eye out for those over the coming weeks and months. And then, as Adam said, or Happy Hour said, we will also be bringing back our Mexican lager, which has been quite popular. I even have people ask me in the middle of winter, "Where's the Mexican lager? When are you guys doing that again?" I say, soon. We'll have it again soon. I promise you.
Dave Kirsch swears by the Mexican lager, and so does actually John Ruber. He bought a case of the Mexican lager when we had it a couple of months ago. But Dave Kirsch will swear by the Mexican lager.
Oh yeah, I'll swear by it. I took a couple 4-packs home with me.
No, dude, that night with the table dogs, you drank like 4 pints.
He did.
That's a whole nother story. I saved a grown man's life.
But yeah, so keep an eye out for those on the coming weeks. And I know we definitely will try to have some type of regular rotation, but we also want to be able to explore. We want to try new styles. And as Adam said, that Golden God, the British Golden Ale, more of a traditional style that, again, Pittsburgh has become a lot better at bringing those traditional styles back. Because I know those IPAs are really popular around here. Dancing Gnome.
Hold on, I gotta go post some beer trail on the Facebook.
Also to add, I mean, the British Golden Ale was
God.
actually Malcolm's idea. And let me tell you,
Oh, yeah.
Malcolm has more street cred than any brewer in the region. Let's be frank.
Can you tell people who Malcolm is if they don't know who he is already?
Sure.
If you do, shame on you.
Malcolm's
I'm
background
pointing my finger at you.
includes he was like in charge of quality control at Fatheads and is partially responsible for the gold medal for they got for Goggle Fogger. Also, he now currently he is the head of brewing operations at Hop Farm. So that's the tie-in to the Hop Farm. So any Hop Farm product you've had probably in the last couple of months, he was very involved in that. Pittsburgh Pale Ale they did. That was a very, very well-crafted beer. From a quality and execution standpoint, that was hard to top. But yes, the fact that we have his brains involved in what we do is going to be a huge boon. And like I said, more street cred than any brewer in the region.
Right on. Yeah, and that's just something one of the reasons why I brought you guys on tonight. I assume in the future we'll do an actual 412 brewery episode, but I wanted to get all of these things out at once between the Wrestling Beer Fest and 412 changing ownership and the announcement of the Diversity Council. Just seemed like a good way to get everybody on it all at the same time. But once you guys get more beers out, and maybe we'll come in and check in at 412 for their Mexican lager.
Take home a case.
Shoot me a message.
Yeah.
Shoot me a message and I'll have one set aside for you.
Oh yeah, you'll like it, Steve. You like it a lot.
Hey, I'm open for a lot of things. I'm actually really interested in the Kolsch as well. So,
well, one thing I'll also mention, I also make my own Bloody Mary mix. So I've made beer Marys that have been a hit.
I've had them. Oh, so good.
Do you make a Colada with the Mexican lager and the Bloody Mary?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. No, I'm in.
He's like, all right, I'm ready. Let's go. What are we having this?
And Steve's starting to plan just his entire weekend down there now.
He's like, oh man, let me put this in my schedule.
Yeah, I just thought it was good to get the news out and let people know to go down and check out 412 because it is going to be different from what they've had in the past.
And
I know
you'll probably see me down there if you come down most days.
Yeah.
It's almost a guarantee you'd see Sydney.
Yeah. I live, breathe, sleep, eat 412 right now.
Go say hi to her, but remember she knows more than you.
Yes. Well played, sir. Well played.
You're welcome. You are.
He has not lost any momentum.
Welcome
I
to
love
come
that.
in and test my knowledge.
Very
please.
well placed.
So with that, we're going to wrap up this segment. I'll just say blanketly, all of our beers were good. Yeah, I'll speak for everyone.
Tasty.
But we're going to wrap up, and then we're going to come back segment 3, and we're going to play a game that we played in the past. I'm gathering champions so I can eventually have a championship tournament.
That's pretty dope.
Perfect.
Yes. Well, we'll be back with segment 3 coming up. Welcome back to episode 189 of the Hop Nation USA podcast, and it's segment 3, and I'm still joined by my co-host Adam, and I'm still joined by our very special guest host Dennis. Thank you. I'm surprised you didn't go with a "What Up Bugaboos" because you haven't used that.
Oh man, you know what? What up, Bugaboos?
Thank you.
There, now I feel good.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but it feels right.
It just feels like home.
And we still have our other guests from 412 Brewery and the Diversity Council, Sydney and Happy Hour.
Hello.
We need to get into some beers.
Yes, we need to get into some beers. And this time, I'm going to start with Dennis.
What?
Oh, hey.
You go first.
He's like, oh no, I'm not ready.
When it comes to beer, I'm always ready. So the brew that we're having on this end is the Crooked Hoss from Intergroove Brewing, located in Verona, Pennsylvania. They're good, dear friends of the industry of ours. It is a sugar plum stout One of their holiday brews that they came out with. But as you know, Steve, Adam, and folks, we can sit on a stout for a little bit and it's still incredibly tasty. Coming at 6.8%. Really tasty brew. Let's get into it. Really dark in color. Solid head retention. Poured this a little bit ago. A little bit of a roasty on the nose. Taste-wise, roast carries through with a slight sweetness. So I actually really enjoy this, and it's a good finisher or possible finisher to the brew lineup that we had today.
You can tell that it was a good beer by the.
Oh yeah.
You always know when you hear that sound, it's a good beer.
It's tough to tell because I'm pretty sure I have high cholesterol, so that could just be me breathing sometimes.
I was trying to give you a really good hook line there.
Nope, I know where I rank in life.
All right, Sydney, what are you drinking? As you try to compliment Dennis, why not just compliment your own beer?
Oh, thank you. So I'm going for something outside of PA here. I am going for the Rheingeist Sangria. It's a fruited ale. I would like to just call it carbonated fruit juice. It's got pomegranate, blueberry, and I think there's lime in this as well. Just this beautiful, beautiful ruby red color that you guys can see, but obviously the people listening will not be able to. Let me just take a taste here. Oh man, full-bodied. It's got a nice little bit of tartness to it, but it falls away immediately, and I get a lingering. That blueberry comes in at the front, and the pomegranate and the lime finish it out very, very nicely.
Awesome. Yeah, I like cider cider geist. I do like cider geist, but I like Rheingeist's like more lighter fare. Like their cider and like the Bubbles Rosé.
I figured I just had a 7.5% beer. I should probably finish it out with something a little light.
Get into the glide pattern into the end of the show. Coast down.
Yeah.
So usually that's when I go for the rocket fuel, but okay.
Yes, sir. That's how you got to do it.
You're like, all right, let's finish it out. Let's go.
Landing, we're going to the moon.
Last week, I think I went from an 8% to the Hitchhiker 11.5% smoked stout.
Jesus.
Oh,
I love that beer.
Okay, so I have a question because I love smoked beers. But I find that sometimes, so I'm also, when I drink whiskey, I like peated whiskeys.
Yeah.
But I have a problem where I find sometimes smoked beers, like smoked porters and smoked stouts, are usually a little too heavy on the smoke for me. How do you feel about that? Just a quick curiosity question here.
So that beer specifically, like if you've had the Ace Schlenkerla, if you found that to be too smoky, which is kind of like the standard bearer of smoked beers because it's the only one of two, I think, that is still made with the wood-fired old age 1400 style.
Oh, nice.
If you've had that beer and you find it too smoky, then the Clouded Distraction might be okay for you because it tastes like an Ace Schlenkerla blended with a coffee stout.
Okay, I like that. That sounds... That actually sounds real nice.
Yeah, the smoke isn't too heavy, but like you definitely get it on the burp ups, and it tastes like bacon on the burp ups. So if you're okay with that,
I have no problem with that.
If you're okay with that, then you should be okay with that beer. But
good.
Happy Hour, what have you brought out for us on this third segment?
I've got Alchemist Luscious. It's a British Imperial Stout. So it's got some of that like Baker's chocolate note up front where it's sort of like a bitter dark chocolate and finishes with a roasty malt. So
I feel like I should have grabbed a stout.
Well, I mean, I figured, I did 2 IPAs already. I wanted to change it up and, I'm almost 50, so my bedtime's pretty soon. So, I should have my finishing move now.
Nice.
Fair enough. What about Adam and Steve? What do you guys got drinking there? Do you have the same thing again?
I don't think so.
Probably not.
Probably not. But Steve, go ahead. What do you have?
So I kind of followed along the path I was already on. The last segment, I was drinking that Soebel's Mayapple Maple Brown, and I went to something else that has maple flavor into it. I went out of PA as well. I went to the Ellicottville brewery we do like on this show.
Oh, more blueberry. Hey,
Yes,
I feel like
blueberry
that's a common
maple.
theme in the show today.
I had my last beer and Adam's last beer do a fusion dance. So I get blueberry and maple.
Yeah, I went to Ellicottville. I want to say I think it was spring of last year, because it was maybe about an hour and a half from my girlfriend's place. So yeah, it was roughly an hour or so. So we went there. It was a cool little setup there. That little town was actually pretty cool.
I've spent a few weekends up in Ellicottville. It is a fantastic little burg.
Yeah. So what do you think of that blueberry maple, Steve?
So the maple flavor actually doesn't come through too well. It's a lot of blueberry flavor, and then it has just a little bit of maple on it.
Yeah, that's good. I think they were trying to go for that full blueberry without having that maple overpower, because sometimes that maple does that sweetness.
Yeah, but it's fine. It's still like kind of easy drinking. It's a little on the sweet end. So if you're not great with sweet beers, it might not be for you, but otherwise.
That's the catch.
Yeah, it's a good dessert beer if you want that.
Or just a change up. It sounds good.
Yeah.
And Adam, Hop Nation, what you got?
Thank you for that. So I brought us back into Pittsburgh a little bit, more specifically Heidelberg, with Insurrection, the good kind. With their Boctane, I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't understand Cyrillic very well. Yeah. The Boctane, but that is their Russian Imperial Stout, 9% on the ABV. Nobody knows the IBUs. Nobody cares because it's all rubbish anyway.
Because it's a Russian Imperial Stout. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. But taking a look in the glass, I mean, it's a Russian Imperial Stout. I don't even know why I'm showing you it. It matches my T-shirt. But it's got a good level of roastiness. I think this is one of the first beers that Insurrection had.
Oh, yeah.
This is one of their OGs, and I'm glad that it's back. I was glad I was able to get it in Kansas this time. Shout out to my friend Derek.
We stand the OGs.
Oh, absolutely. I'll get down on this most anytime that it's on tap there.
Yeah. I remember that one being very, very early on and comparing it with Mindful's Putin's Revenge. So
yes. Yeah.
Or Putin's Breakfast.
This is a good beer, good bit of roastiness to it. Good way to end the night.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're also going to end the night with a game. And we've brought back a game that, we played it 2 episodes ago with Outer Belt. And now we're going to play it again with 412 Brewery. And that game is Brew'd. And the only other time we played it was Couch 2 times. And Darren was the winner both times. That's why I'm trying to find new champions to take on Darren.
All right, I'm in. Let's go. I
no
like
Sasquatch
challenge.
Questions.
I do not back down. Let's go.
So
Darren's my boy.
We love Darren. And with that, I'm going to explain the rules of Brew'd because he is the champion. So you guys need to know how to take him on eventually. Brew'd is very similar to Chopped and every other cooking show that you see on the Food Network, in which we're going to give you a scenario and we want you to brew a beer based on that scenario.
Okay.
And then Adam, Hop Nation, Dennis, and myself are going to judge you based on your responses. We've all prepared different scenarios, so you're going to get scenarios tailored to us as well, or tailored to yourselves. We'll see. It's your job to impress us and, just try to be as wild and creative as possible. With that, though, I'm going to go to Hop Nation Adam, and he's going to give you your first prompt.
Yes, and your first Chopped challenge is: to drum up tourism, Allegheny County has come up with a new mythical creature that lives in the Monongahela, the Monster. What beer do you brew to celebrate this new creature?
Oh. Okay.
Sydney, you want to go ahead first?
I will actually start with that.
Yep.
this kind of leans into the Loch Ness Monster. So I'm going to say that the Mon creature is related to the Loch Ness Monster. And I would go with a very, very old style of beer that goes back 2,000 years. I would go back with, it's called a heather beer or a heather ale. Instead of hops, the brewers would take heather tips. And this is an Irish or Scottish beer. The brewers would take heather tips or heather, the very end of that tree there, which was right in spring before the tree started producing cones. It would have these beautiful tips that have this beautiful, like, sprucey flavor to it. So I'm going to lean into the assumption that this mythological beast is related to the Loch Ness Monster and say I would go with a heather ale.
Damn, that's a good answer.
Wow. Went deep. I was going simple.
I'm a big mythological person as well, so it kind of gave me a little bit of a boost.
Oh, well then. I was going with something simpler. I was thinking, if we're talking about, old lore and a monster from the Monongahela Valley, or, a monster, I was thinking, it probably was born of the old pollution, and I was going to say Rausch beer. Oh, Rausch beer has a tribute to the monster.
Shit. This is a tough one.
Mm.
And those are both really good answers.
Well,
I went right into it. I was like, yeah, I'm ready.
we'll come to you last, Hop Nation Adam, for your decision, as it is your prompt. But I'll go first. And Sydney, you really, really had me, because you had the history, you had it tied into a story already. I've had like one heather beer in my life, and it was pretty decent.
Man. It's a style that I would like to see more of. Personally.
Yeah. But
because I'm a gin drinker, so.
But man, you just can't come on the show and say Rausch beer. No, you know what? No. I'm giving it to no. I'm giving it to Sydney. Like, you can't just say Rausch beer and win. Can't just say Rausch beer and win. Normally, yes. Like,
I can picture Steve's face right now. He's like, I want a Rausch beer, but I can't.
I know, yes.
This can't just be one word wins.
Yeah, you can't just trigger me with my favorite and then win. No. Didn't he build the story? She went
Steve, there. That would have been a prime example of plot armor.
Right.
Deus Ex Rausch beer.
So many holes in that chainmail.
All right, Dennis. What is your decision? I'm giving the point to Sydney.
So point goes to Sydney from Steve. So Sid, can you just a couple more? Can you give me some descriptors, like flavor wise, from a heather beer? I personally never had one to call back on like Steve has. Is there any descriptors that you can throw out?
Yeah. So I'm going to give you slightly more history. The heather ale, Rauch. I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly. I apologize to any people that are Scottish that know this beer. It's an ancient Gaelic recipe from, over 2,000 years ago. It's going to be kind of close to an amber ale. It's going to be floral. It's going to be slightly peaty on the aroma. And then as you go to taste it, you're going to have like a really nice malty character that's not like, I can't stand the term malty backbone, but it's going to have that malty backbone, and it's got like a very spicy herbal finish. So when you think, I would almost liken it to Weihenstephaner or a witbier or a Hefeweizen almost.
Yeah, that definitely gives me a lot of info to kind of make my decision between the two.
Yeah, it's going to be you're going to have that peatiness. You're going to have a little bit of that floralness because, again, they were using those tips instead of hops. So you're going to have that almost hoppiness, but in a differently organic way, herby, caramel color and taste as well, with a little bit of spice, pretty grassy. You almost get a honey as well, but that's like right on the back end of it. And again, it's a very hard beer to get a hold of because it's one of the oldest beers to find. Also kind of like piggybacking off of that, the first brewers were women.
So she truly does know more than you.
The first brewers were women, and women brewed beer as like a medicinal thing for their families, and any excess they had, they sold at pubs. Women were the first brew pub owners, actually. And eventually, as the German purity laws came into place, women no longer were pub owners; they were the bartenders. But yeah, this would have been something that the grandmother would have brewed back in Scotland in like 2000 BC.
Damn. All right, I'm just gonna cut it short. Said you get the point.
It's like she did her homework. Yeah.
I'm with Steve. I love Roush.
I understand. Like, I do as well.
But that Heather beer, not only do I want to find some, you've now just solidified that will be a future collaboration. We're going to hook up with someone in Scotland and do a collaboration brew and then fly there. So yes, and thank you.
Yeah, there are actually, there's a brewer in California. I think they're called Williams or
Oh no, I want someone's grandmother to make this.
Oh, well, I'm not a grandma, but I can work on it. It was the ancient Gaelic recipe was Lanfrock. So it was definitely like the mother passed it down to her daughters or her daughter-in-law, and moved from that. Right. But yeah, it's really cool to learn the history behind certain beers too as well. So
and I'm sure
that's what I was leaning on.
the Mon monster is he's probably at least 2,000 years old, so that makes sense.
He's got to be like far cousins with the Loch Ness monster, you know.
He's like, hey Ma, the Gaelic beer.
That's the one.
All right, Hop Nation Adam, you've got all this backstory.
I do have this backstory.
I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize for that. No. But yeah, I think I gotta go with the Heather beer on this one. I'm sorry.
No,
Mr. H's, you got skunked.
No. What's there to apologize for? I mean, the fact that she actually really did her homework. I mean, my thing is, you present a concept to me and you play the, word association game. I'm just going with, the first thing that comes to mind.
I feel like knowing so much about that beer is the equivalent to one day in your life, like using algebra in the real world. It's like, this does come in handy.
I was like,
hey man, don't get me started. My degree's in computer science, so I've actually used it in my life.
Yeah, I'm like, I've been waiting for this exact moment for 5 years. This specific set of knowledge.
Well, hopefully you're not too burned out, because now it's time for Dennis.
No, I got more. I'm ready.
Okay. Well, now it's time for Dennis to present his scenario.
In a minute. Everybody hold on. Waiting on you.
So when Steve approached me with coming up with a scenario, at the time, I may or may not have been playing a video game on the computer, which is my first time playing a game on the computer in 9 years. And I just got back into it for the first time in the last couple of days.
It was an existing game?
No, it's a brand new game that's released in beta. So it's super cool.
I was about to say Cyberpunk 2077. If it's in beta still, it's not Cyberpunk.
Yeah, it's in beta, but that's what led me to this question. So it is a Viking-based game on Norse mythology, which is super cool. I've always been so excited about it. So my question to you guys if you had to brew a beer for a Viking that tripped and fell through a wormhole, ended up in your brew pub today, and you had to make a beer for him that he wouldn't get upset at and then slaughter your whole family and bloodline, what beer would you make and why?
No pressure.
I love Nordic. You screwed up. I love Nordic mythology, but I will let Happy Hour answer first.
Sure. Well, I'm just like beer. If you're talking Vikings, you've got to go mead, man. You've got to go mead. So, that being said, mead is not beer, so I guess that doesn't answer the question. But Vikings, drink their mead before battle, and make their way into Valhalla, where the mead flows endlessly. But that being said, if I had to brew a beer that was kind of along those lines, I would say, ooh, I've got an idea. How about a honey quad?
There you go. There you go.
Because it's got to be similar. The whole thing is, if a Viking came through time, landed in front of me, and I was going to brew beer, I should brew something that both is beer, but at the same time hits reminiscent notes. So, you get the dark fruit notes along with the honey in the quad and the higher ABV. Oh, yeah. You're basically hitting all the notes that they would expect out of a mead. At the least, this becomes a good go-between.
Yeah, no, that's real good. Wait, you have more?
Nope, that's it. That's what I've got.
Oh, that's it?
That
let me go
sounds
into my
great.
whole story.
Did you have anything else?
Is that all?
Gee, wow, tough crowd.
No. I traditionally love Nordic history, so that's like very much a thing that I've looked into. So like a honeyed quad.
So Sydney's about to use algebra twice in one night.
I know. I'm really going for it. I'm going to be real burnt out tomorrow, you guys. So there's actually within the past 20 or so years, I would do what's called a sati. So during the Finnish age, during the Viking age in Finland, they brewed what's called sati, and they just recently found this beer on sunken Viking ships that still has some things on it, and it usually contains like hops, malted barley, malted rye, and then juniper. So again, leaning into my personal taste, I like gin, and gin is very much like a piney alcoholic alcoholic beverage. But yes, so mead is great. Mead, the honey wine, very standard, very much what a lot of people associate with Viking culture. But there were like different brews for different occasions. And like men and women actually drank different styles of beer, but the sati is what I would go with, simply because I know that's what they traditionally drank. And they actually took, when they did the funeral pyres for Viking warriors, which a lot of people know about, they would take these just like, I would call them kegs, barrels, maybe. They took these barrels of this specific beer, and like the mother would brew it, the wife would brew it, depending on their family members. And they would take that barrel, and they would take one barrel from like the wife and the mother that they like worked on together, and they would put it on the funeral pyre with the person that passed away sometimes. And again, this is like something that I've learned over time. I'm not, not an archaeologist, not an anthropologist. I don't know as much history as a lot of people do, but the sati would be what I would brew. So I would do hops, malted barley, malted rye, and juniper. Personally as well, because I do like gin, and it has that very pine tree, very refreshing taste to it. And I think that's something that, like, again, Vikings really much leaned into Valhalla, and juniper would be like that refreshment and that like bringing back into the afterlife.
Well, damn.
You guys are not making this easy. Like at all.
Can I go first, Steve? Since it was,
Go first if you want. I mean, yeah.
So, holy Santa Claus shit. And so that was awesome. Like I feel like did I just watch BBC Earth or Discovery Channel?
I'm just giving you guys a history lesson here. No big deal.
So
you know,
this may surprise some people, but I'm going to go with the honey quad from Adam, and here's why. I loved all the information. I loved the story. I loved everything that Sid said. But the only thing that worries me is that Viking came fresh back in time, or forward in time to our day. If you serve him a beer that was traditional to his style and you're wrong, your family dies. Like that's something that's something he had yesterday. And we're going off of 100-year-old oxidized. But actually, I don't know if it would be oxidized since it's down in the. Either way, it can't be just as fresh as what he had, and we're going off of that for our flavor profile. She got so upset. She got so upset she logged out. But that's my reason for going with Adam's honey quad. I think that's something that's different enough for him or her to taste and go, oh, this is like, I know honey, but this is new. I like this. Oh my God, this is getting me drunk faster. This is awesome. So that's why I'll have to go with the honey quad, because if you serve him that shoddy type style and it's not when he's used to, your family dies.
Well, the other thing, Dennis, to kind of piggyback on that, when it comes to storyline continuity, trust the pro wrestler.
hey, fair enough.
And Sid, just to be clear, like it was all on the premise of the question. That's another beer style that I like. I want to dig into. I want to learn more about. I want to have it.
Oh, you won't find that one anywhere. That one doesn't get brewed anywhere.
That's
just like my little like that's like my little corner of knowledge in this part of my head right here.
Sydney,
no.
If only you worked for a brewery.
Oh man, who would have thought, right?
There has actually been at least one Sati brewed in Pittsburgh, and it was brewed for a Pittsburgh craft beer week. It was years ago, but yeah,
under the old regime.
Oh yeah, I even forget who did it, but it was the same year somebody also brewed a grisette. So somebody was bringing out old world styles that year, and there was a Sati that year.
Did you have it, Steve?
Yeah, no, I did have the Sati, and I actually had it at the Cranberry. What is that barbecue place, Adam?
Pig Iron.
Pig Iron, yeah. It was at Pig Iron because they had all of the choices that year.
Yes.
What did you think about it, Steve?
It was fine. It reminded me more of a farmhouse, and generally from what I've read about that style, because we've talked about that on the show in the past of Satis, and there's another one I think it's called like Godric Slicker or something like that, but it translates to God's drink. Yeah, we've talked about it in the past, but I think it's more of a like Sydney was saying, it's like a piney farmhouse. So when it's done right, and it's like way low in ABV because they don't use traditional grain, they don't boil anything.
Right. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to get enough sugars and
it's just like they pour hot water over a big bed of juniper and fucking grain. So yeah.
I mean, it still sounds like a good refreshing drink.
Yeah, it's not bad, and it's low in ABV, but yeah.
You just got to drink a lot of it.
Yeah. I guess since I'm already talking though, I did have a correct answer when I thought about this, and the correct answer was a smoked braggot that blended mead and Sati.
Oh, hey.
That would have been the correct answer in my mind.
That in-between point, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But Dennis, you actually turned me with your reasoning, because the whole point is we're not trying to impress a Viking back then. And the way agriculture and seeds and farming and everything has changed over the past 500 or so years, we would not have access to the same everything that they would.
Yeah, and how much like hops have developed and malt and barley, like the way and this is like kind of going off on a tangent, America actually started off as a huge cider country because we did not have the right soil for barley and hops. So that's kind of just going off to the side there. But that you make a very good point, how things have developed over the past several hundred years. It's going to be very different.
Yeah. Nice. Mac Machine by Trace. Making a small appearance. But
wait, what do you got? What do you got from Trace there?
No, I didn't want everyone else to know I was dipping in.
Yeah, nobody wants to know about beers on a beer podcast.
Oh wait, let's see
right.
what you got.
That's why he poured it on camera.
Well, no, because this is a podcast. It's audio. Well, actually,
Monday.
Steve, I don't know if you're still doing the games on video or not.
Yeah, we still do we still video like when I'm not lazy.
It's like when you're trying to sneak out of the house, but your parents got video cameras.
Right.
Oh, no.
But yeah, just to back Dennis, what he was saying, like what would really impress somebody from the past is a super clean drinking honey beer that is also, you said quad, so that's going to be at least 9%.
Quad.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
exactly.
That's going to blow his pelts off. So, so yeah, I got to go with Adam on this one.
Well, Sydney, I'm sorry, but you're the one that gets skunked this round.
That's okay. Okay.
And I actually have a different reasoning between both Dennis and Steve, because this Viking has come to the 21st century. I highly doubt that they will be able to have a telephone booth or DeLorean stashed away to be able to get back there. So we can't kowtow to them for too long. They'll eventually have to adjust to the beers that we have today and the styles that we have today. So to me, the quad would be the way to go to kind of ease them into the beer scene that we have today. And that would be kind of a first step for them getting into, the alcohol and beers that we have today. So I think that would be the direction to go. It's close, but it also gives them, directions to step with what we have today.
Sure. He would recognize honey, but if you gave him like a pastry stout, he wouldn't recognize pastry because they didn't have those.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
That boy is getting hammered on his first day.
Yeah.
He changed his moniker from the Viking to the Berserker and go nuts. The idea of pastry stouts.
Somebody just give him a sweet roll because someone stole it from him.
My man Hop Nation Adam said ease him in with like 11% beer.
That's right.
He's still a Viking.
True, but the beers that they drank to Sid's point were lower in ABV, and they drank them out of horns, as we know, cattle horns. And you can't. I don't know if you ever drank out of a cattle horn, Steve. I have. It's not easy. And you can't. Not only is it not easy, you can't set it down. So it has to be something that you slam or you pass around.
Okay, but the reason why they drank those is because the water was shit back then. And
facts.
Full of disease. So you drank sautés as just water. It was the mead and the high ABV stuff that really get you going.
That's also how.
Wait, I thought you said they didn't boil it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you said they didn't boil the sauté. They just poured it water.
They made it hot.
Okay.
And there is probably like a natural filtering. Like, have you ever seen a Boy Scout filter?
Yeah. Where it goes through different types of sediment and all that stuff.
So that, there was mud, there was juniper, there was, grains. And so it went through all that and then you pour it out and you got fucking hot mud water at 4.5%.
Did you pour it through the sediment? I don't want to get the poops.
Beer name called it.
All right.
The poops. Oh God.
All right. We're tied 3 points to 3 points. Sid and Adam each.
Oh, here we go.
So
I'm sorry, Adam. I love you, but I need to crush you.
She said I need this win more than I need a job. So screw you, Adam.
Hear the lamentation of the women, right?
So
she knows more than you.
I will leave the points how the points are divided up in this last one to the judges, to each judge. But, I did a little, Sid, you recently followed us on Instagram. So I did a little Sean Evans deep dive and went through your Instagram.
Oh boy. Oh no.
And Adam,
hot ones.
Adam, I already know that you're a pro wrestler, so you train hard and you go through a lot of exercise. And Sid, I found that you are also an outdoorsy, exercisey type.
Yes.
So your prompt is brew a series of beers for a triathlon. One beer for each stage.
Okay. Ooh, can I go first?
Go ahead, Sid.
Yo,
wow, that is quick.
They were so excited. Like, I'm not. Damn.
Oh, so first beer that I would brew would be a Goza. If you're going to start a triathlon, you want to start with a Goza. It's going to be light, going to be easy, but you also have that salt and lime content. That salt will help with hydration retention.
Just, not to cut you off, I just want to be clear. You drink each beer after each stage.
I would still do it. Okay, I would still go with the Goza.
Didn't know if that changed anything for you, but I didn't want you to get too into it if it did.
No. I appreciate the interjection. That was very helpful. I would still go with the Goza.
Okay.
You still have that very light salt content. You don't want something that's super heavy in the stomach after your first segment and leading into your second segment. Goza would be really good for that. It'll help you keep that hydration that you're going to try to keep going throughout. Second, I would actually I'm actually going to go with a particular, I'm going to say, I would say something along the lines of Weißstefaner, one of their beers. So I would go with like maybe their Weissbier, their Hefe Weissbier for the second segment. Either that or like a Vitus, but like a Weiss would be what I go for. And then to finish out, because I did the Hell on Hills down in Beachview and like Dormont, and that is literally Hell on Hills. It's really cool. It's a beautiful like little 5K that goes up the steepest hill in Pittsburgh. So second one would be the Weissbier, and then third, I would probably finish off with a Baltic Porter. Because I know personally that's what I would like to drink. There's like no history behind this one. This is personally just what I would like to go for if I were running, a triathlon or a marathon or something like that. I would want to finish off with like a really nice Baltic Porter and a donut. This is just like in this one. This is just like my personal preference.
I would
want to start with a traditional Goza, go with a Weiss in the second one, just to keep me going, and then finish off with a Baltic Porter and then a donut.
All right. Happy hour.
Yeah, it's funny. The moment you mentioned it, I already had all three in my mind. So number one, first and foremost, I actually, the first one would be a wit beer. And for me, because it kind of brings out the herbs of life. And you get some of that coriander, some of that citrusiness and whatnot. For me, that's kind of life in terms of, relevant to something like a triathlon. At the end of the second stage, a Kolsch, because to me, a Kolsch is a thirst quencher. I love Kolsch's as a thirst quencher because, you take a little bit of the fruity esters, combine it with just the general nature of a Kolsch that really, it's supposed to be an easy drinking beer that kind of makes you feel like you're hydrating. And that's what I love about it. And for me personally, Kolsch's are a thirst quencher. And then third, because this is after the third event, barley wine, because barley wine is life. And when you finish that triathlon, nothing more triumphant than like a 13 or 14% barley wine that gives you like that dark fruit flavor that just makes you think, oh, this is the desserts of victory.
Okay, I give my point to Adam. he's so right. But no, for me personally, it would be my 3, but I understand where he's coming from as well.
All right. I mean,
Wow.
I have how the points I want to give out, but Adam or Dennis, if you guys want to go first, go ahead.
I did have a quick question. Sid, what was the style of your second beer? I missed writing that down.
Oh yeah, a Weiss. I would go for a Weiss beer on that one. Okay. That one just for me is like, it's not gonna sit too. The point of a triathlon is, and I've done like half marathons, and I did the 5K. I don't want something that's gonna sit super heavy on my stomach. So I see where he is coming from with the Kolsch, but I think a Kolsch would still be just like a little too light for me. And a Weiss beer is nice because it's just like right in that middle ground. It gives me that little bit of that really nice light colored beer that's going to also be, it's a wheat beer that's going to have that little bit of extra oomph for me. That's going to give me that extra little boost that I need personally.
Right. Got it. All right. That's the only question I had, Steve, real quick. So I don't know if you would.
I mean, if you want to give out points, go ahead.
All right. So for me, number one, just so I'm clear, each category we can assign a different point to a different person.
If you want to give 3 points to one person, or if you want to give 1 point for each category, go ahead. It's up to you.
I'm going to do it by category. It just helps me think through this a little bit better. So with me being, also a somewhat fitness guru and just a nerd when it comes to researching so much stuff. Number one, first point for the first beer, it's going to go to Sid. Like it's just a no-brainer for some of those, consuming a beer with some of those electrolytes in there, especially if you're doing a, triathlon and depending upon weather conditions, like you're going to need those electrolytes. So 1 point to Sid there.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Second point is a toughie for me. So there's no like science for me to because they're not necessarily that they're similar styles. I mean, but from, different vitamins, nutrients, and everything, you're going to find both of those styles are going to be somewhat similar. So then I have to rely on my own personal opinion, which is a Kolsch all day, every day. So I'll give a point to the Kolsch. I think it's still going to be light and refreshing because just as we had said before, I don't want anything too extremely heavy. And then third, Jesus, you guys made this incredibly difficult. I love Baltic porters. I love barley wines. So just so it would help me think through who to give a point to, I wrote down what I would do, and then I ended it with like a triple IPA, and I wrote Snap Back to Reality, which is also a great beer name, I guess. So it's what I have to give a point to the barley wine, like, because I feel like after you grinded your freaking face off, you need to snap back to reality.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hop Nation, Adam, your points.
So for me, round one, and I assume this is the swimming portion of the triathlon.
Yes, it does go swimming, biking. Yeah, well, it goes swimming, biking, running.
Yes, and for those that don't enjoy watching the Ironman on NBC every December while you're eating a giant burrito the size of a football and thinking you should probably walk outside once in a while. Never done that before.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you just insulted like 3/4 of America.
There you.
Yeah, well, maybe they need to get off the couch just like me. Anyways,
I'm way fatter and I didn't care about that.
For the swimming segment, I have to go with the Goza. That makes complete sense. To build up those electrolytes, to get that saltiness, because once you sweat, all that's going to be leaving your body. So to be able to have a little bit of that build up, complete sense. So a point to Sydney on that one for the Goza. For the biking segment, I'm disappointed that nobody forced a barrel-aged stout on anybody on a bicycle.
No. I know better.
Just because if they have to drink the beer, why not make it miserable?
Jesus.
No thanks.
But
I just want to notate behind Adam, there's like the American Revolution portrait going on. So this smell makes sense.
We'll always fight for liberty. And that includes barrel-aged stouts after riding a bicycle for 120 miles. But I think I have to go with the Kolsch. That one makes a lot of sense to be able to get a little bit of the hydration there to kind of, give you a little bit of fuel to keep going. I think that's the right move there. So Sydney gets one, Mr. H's gets one, and that gives us the third segment.
Double H, come on.
He said H's, meaning more than one.
Yeah,
no,
right.
That's more of a wrestling reference. Is double H.
So actually, mine was a wrestling reference. A very obscure one.
Oh.
Mr. H's, yeah. I'll explain later because I'm
Okay.
on a roll right now.
Yeah, sure.
But Baltic Porter barley wine. Baltic Porter barley wine. Those they both have their pros and their cons. But going back to my earlier assertion of making a couple people suffer, I'd like to see a barley wine at the finish line, because you're going to have those people that are really looking forward to the barley wine and those that are absolutely dreading it coming across the line. And
I'm the one dreading it.
see, there you go. And for me, the person that's going to be handing out the beers at the end, because there's no way in hell I'm going to be doing a triathlon the way I'm looking right now, I got to go barley wine. So
fair enough.
So Adam, 2 points to you. Sydney, 1 point to you.
All right. And it comes down to me. So the first stage is swimming. And Sydney, you're absolutely correct with the Goza. That's the way it goes. Ha ha. But to add a little something extra from what everybody else was saying, aside from the minerals and such, you're also, if you're getting out of the sea, then you can have something with sea salt in it.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Fine and dandy.
It ties into the event. Second stage, there was a right answer, and the right answer was Radler.
Ooh,
you're right.
Ooh.
You're absolutely correct.
I didn't want to lead too hard into another beer similar to a Goza. So
That's fair, but I believe a Radler is a very classic. It was originally for bike training because it was lemonade mixed with beer to cut down on the beer. So you got the minerals from the beer, but you also got hydration from the lemonade. However, I'm going to go with the Kolsch. It just seems like a more clean drinking experience. You can probably put it down really quick if you had to.
Yep.
Weiss beers, they're just a little thicker, a little heavier from my estimation. So, yeah, unfortunately, I'll have to go with Kolsch. So it comes down to the final round. And Sydney, you were way ahead with Baltic Porter. The answer, there is no right answer to this. There was just the answer I was looking for, which was dark and heavy. So Sydney, you were winning until Adam said barley wine.
But hey, fair enough. I just personally, I was like, oh, I can't. If I were to drink a barley wine after a triathlon, I would vomit. And that's no offense to a barley wine, because I do like a good barley wine. I just know that after all of that stress on my body, I would not be able to handle it personally.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess in a way that's the fourth event.
The vomit. The vomit is the fourth. I mean, it really
the quadathlon
is an event.
is keeping down a barley wine.
It really is an event of its own.
It's like, you want to have another beer? Well, I got room now.
Yeah. Like, oh, that donut they just gave you? Yeah, we got room for that.
With that, though, Adam, happy hour. You are our champion of the 412 Brewery and Diversity Council. For now. And
That's awesome.
we may test you again as we did Darren. We tested Darren twice because he had to get tested against Bobby Nacho. But
Steve,
Oh yeah.
Can I throw something out there? Because through all this conversation, I freaking thought of what I think is a really good second beer in the triathlon. I want to get your guys' opinion on this.
Mm-hmm.
So
Go ahead.
I thought of, as we were talking through it, a banana cream coffee blonde stout. Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. Number one, banana cream is phenomenal. And it's going to carry. Now, this is functional. You're going to drink it because your body needs it.
Wow. That's fair. That's fair. You
I
need
don't
that
think
nutrition.
Gonna name it Brondo too while you're at it.
Oh, I didn't even mean that.
I really don't think any potassium carries into the brew process.
No. All right, here's the thing. How do you know? How do you know?
Actually, a lot of nutritional value, like if you think of broccoli, when you cook it.
But do we know for a fact that potassium is boiled out? And if so, you can add banana extract afterwards.
Dennis, banana extract doesn't have any potassium.
No.
Dennis,
You're thinking
she knows more than you.
Stop. I get that.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about the flavor banana extract.
If
I
you
have
want me to,
30 extracts there in the. I have 30 extracts right there in the counter. I'm not saying the extract you add to brewing. This is extract where I create my own pre-workout drinks, and it does that stuff specifically does have all those minerals and micronutrients and everything in there.
Well, if we're talking about potassium, which is K+, potassium is actually extremely soluble in water. Like you start boiling it, and within 10 minutes, you will lose half of your potassium.
Right. I said after. So is there a way you can add it afterwards?
That's a good question. I guess we got to brew a banana beer.
I guess if you're,
no, that wasn't just.
If you're slinging pre-workout into it, oh right, that's completely
sure. Go for it.
So and then the second part of that was being a coffee infused beer, so that way the caffeine helps carry you through the midway of that triathlon, help give you that little extra boost.
Okay, I can see that.
Can I refine
like a
little
coffee, like a coffee blonde?
Steve, this is going to be a future collab, man. So let's refine the shit out of it.
I just came up with a really good answer: a coffee blonde.
Yeah, like why not just go with like a coffee Hefeweizen with pre-workout? Because then you have the banana.
Where my nana's at? Oh no, it has that. No, I was looking more so to get the potassium in there.
I know that's why I said with pre-workout. So you get the banana coffee, and then pre-workout has all the minerals.
Oh God! Do you want me to like feel like I'm a squirrel on steroids?
Yes, because you want to end up in first place.
Right. Well,
just so we're clear, Sydney, you're doing this whole race, by the way. None of the rest of us have a chance.
But,
I'm in it. I'm in it. Let's go.
Just to let you guys know, it's like less than 10 minutes to 11. So I turn into a pumpkin, a geriatric pumpkin pretty soon.
I actually see that because throughout this whole podcast, you slowly laid down further and further on the couch. You are now almost fully parallel.
Yeah, he's fully prone now.
Yep.
And that has been episode 2 of Aggressive Pour.
All right. Well, with that, I think we can just come right to our guests, Sydney and Adam, and let them just plug anywhere you can find them. Any last thoughts about the Diversity Council? Anything else about 412? The floor is yours now.
I will lead. I'm going to interject here. I will lead just to give a last note on the Diversity Council. I just want to kind of give a little rundown of our logo for anyone that kind of has questions, because we haven't really explained it quite yet. But our logo is a hemlock branch with the cone at the end. And this, I really want to give huge props to Mikey on this one, because he's the one that really came up with this idea, developed it, came up with all of our logos, and had a huge dedication to making this something for us. Our logo has the, Pittsburgh Brewery Diversity Council around the sides, or it has PBDC. We'll have it for different applications. We will have it for different things. but the main logo is the Pittsburgh Brewery Diversity Council. And then it has a hemlock branch in the middle with a hemlock kind of cone, pine cone. And the point behind that is the eastern hemlock is the Pennsylvania state tree. It's been the Pennsylvania state tree since, I believe, the 30s, like 1930s. And the point behind that is really, we want this, the hemlock is a huge, beautiful tree that is beautiful for canopies, for developing forests, especially in Pennsylvania. And our point was, we don't want to do the whole entire tree simply because we are an ever evolving, ever developing creation, and hemlocks can age to hundreds of years old. And we did the cone because we want to plant those seeds. We want to develop those roots. And that's, I think, what we realize is we're not going to have a whole tree within a year. You know, this is something that the hemlocks grow multiple lifetimes. And we know this is going to be something that develops past ourselves. And this is something like kind of personal that I kind of put into our conversation when we were first discussing the hemlock. In some cultures, the hemlock is used for symbolization of protection and growth. And we want that to be our big statement. We want to protect people. We want to have that growth within people. And that's why we chose that for our symbolism. And that's why we chose that for our logo, for any people that are going to see it in the coming weeks, or possibly have seen it already within the past week or two. We're developing our website. I was actually just working on that today. So we want people to know we're here for that growth, and we want to listen to people, and we want to have these conversations within the Pittsburgh Brewery Diversity Council. And that's why we felt that resonated with us so much. We saw the first logo that Mikey put out, and we were all like, yeah, that shit's amazing. Let's do it. We want to go for that. Let's talk about it more and why we want to do this. So if you do see our logo, that's what it is.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Yes.
And so is there any social media or any other place people can follow the Diversity Council and just get updates on it?
Yeah. So we, within the past week, we just started on Instagram and on Facebook. On Instagram, it's PGH Diversity Council, all one thing. And then on our Facebook, it is the Pittsburgh Brewery and Taproom Diversity Council. And we're developing that more. And as I said, we are working on our website. So look for that within the next couple of weeks. I'm just working on some of the coding, and I want to make sure it works for, just website, mobile, tablet before we put that out there. So if you don't see it yet, just be a little bit more patient. We are getting it underway and trying to make sure it is all streamlined and works well before we announce that to the public. We want to just make sure that it's easy to navigate for everyone.
Okay, cool. And 412 Brewery and Happy Hour, any places people can find all that?
Yep, you can find us on Facebook, 412 Brewery. You can find us on Instagram at 412 Brewery. And as mentioned by Sydney earlier, she and Rocco's wife effectively run the social media for 412 Brewery. So you know that you already know that with Sydney, especially with what she brought today, she brought some A game today, and it's in good hands. So you're going to be well informed.
Definitely. Can attest to that.
Yes.
Brought all my history.
Right? Seriously,
the whole textbook.
Oh, absolutely.
No, I was going to say.
I'm like, hold on. Let's see.
No, let's be frank.
Yeah.
Just to tie it in, that was an excellent prelude to She Knows More Than You.
Yeah, if you didn't learn anything tonight,
100%.
I learned
You didn't
more
learn
from
anything
Sydney tonight than I did 5th grade social studies.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, if you didn't learn anything tonight, follow me on Instagram, send me a message. I will I'm happy to talk to you as long as you come to me with honesty and don't come at me aggressively, because I'm not going to say anything aggressive back to you. I'm just not going to answer you because I don't have the space for that in my life.
And if you come at me aggressively, I will answer you back twice as aggressive. I have a the one thing that I know for certain, I have a big personality. If I'm in the room, you know I'm in the room. If you don't know I'm in the room, you need to take that damn blindfold off.
Well, actually, you have two things because you also have the invincible beer gut.
Oh my goodness. I'll say this. If you get a chance, download the stream for Intergender Bonanza 6. That's where I actually got to demonstrate some invincible beer gut. So
Nice.
feel free to download that.
Get a preview of what could be coming in September.
Just so you know, you have to make sure you have the incognito tab on before you download that.
All right.
Yeah, Dennis does for Sip Brew Box. So go check him out. He's got some really cool stuff going on. Check out Trace. That's where Adam is right now. He's working on a lot of their social media. Trace Brewing over in Bloomfield. Lauren and Mikey, check them out over at Necromancer. They have some really good stuff in the works. And then Kevin isn't super duper into the social media. He's really good at communicating with us. But if you want to reach out to Kevin, just reach out to him. He'll help you out.
Yeah, Kevin is definitely he's one of those guys, if you engage with him and talk beer with him, you'll be there all day, just because he loves talking about beer and brewing and being creative with the brew process.
Yeah, but I'm happy to, I don't care. Shoot me a message on Facebook, shoot me a message on Instagram if you have questions, if you want to be more involved in the council, if you want to know what we're doing in the upcoming months and we haven't announced things yet, I'm happy to talk to you. Just, I love talking to people about beer and bringing more people into this community and making them feel more welcome and like they should be at ease, because that's the whole point of what we're doing here. We want people to feel represented. We want people to feel welcome in this industry, and not just welcome. We want people to feel like, yeah, we want you here. Please come, please talk to us,
Absolutely.
If you want to help us in future events, again, shoot us a message. I don't care. I'm happy to have you send us a message and be like, we might be like, we're not there yet, but we'll add you to our list. We'll have you on there and we'll reach out to you if we need volunteers or if we need opinions on things. That's the whole entire point of what we're doing here. We want every voice to be heard, and we want to be involved in these conversations and know what you have to say.
And to add to that, there are people out there who want to be allies but don't know how. And that's perfectly fine.
It's hard. It's one of those things. It's like, it's a learning experience.
Exactly.
And we want you to ask.
Yep. And we hope to serve as a channel or a conduit for that. So if you want to be an ally but are not sure how, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help channel that positive energy, because at the end of the day, all positive energy is useful.
And again, if you feel more comfortable reaching out to myself or Lauren, or you want to reach out to Happy Hour, Adam Zane here, or if you want to reach out to Adam Swarma, or you want to reach out to Mikey, we're not gonna we don't want to gatekeep. That's the whole point of what we're doing. If you feel more comfortable reaching out to one member more so than others, please feel free to do so. And there's no judgment here, and we'll keep your conversation between one of us or the other until you feel comfortable expanding upon that,
And that is an excellent message right there. That is fantastic. Gates open. Come on in.
Yeah. And I know, there have been times where I feel more comfortable talking to someone that's a female or queer in the industry than someone that I know has been in the industry for years. And even though that might that person might be accepting, I still feel more comfortable going this avenue. And if that's how you feel, I'm happy with that. You know, whatever you're comfortable with doing, we want you to do it.
Right. And we are happy to accept all actual or potential positive energy, because at the end of the day, if you have positive energy, let us help you channel it.
Exactly.
Completely agree.
Facts.
Yes.
Some good facts.
Yes. That's the time for yes.
Yes. So
yeah.
All right.
So
Well, Dennis, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you and what you have going on?
hell yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
I don't know.
supposed to
I feel
lean
like you
in.
leaned into
Hell
that one a
yeah. Alrighty, guys. If you want to find out more about First Sip Brewbox, please check us out, firstsipbrewbox.com. This month, we actually debuted our new diversity shirt, which makes up the 3 different colors of the Pan-African American flag, which is super, super dope. On the back of the shirt, we have a really inspiring quote: support diversity, jump in there, get a First Sip Brewbox diversity box. Again, at firstsipbrewbox.com, you can reach us at 7 different social media platforms at First Sip Brewbox. With that said, some of the big events we have coming up in the future: on March 26th, we are partnering with Hops for Hearth, which is a really great beer fest, virtual beer fest that we fell in love with back when it wasn't virtual, because they do a lot of great stuff for women and children, homeless women and children, especially ones escaping out of crisis, whether it be, you know, domestic violence or what have you. We just fell in love with their message, and we've been partners with them for the last 3 or 4 years. Last year, we did a really cool collaboration beer with Lincoln Avenue Brewery, located in Bellevue, Pennsylvania. However, COVID punched that in the face, and, you know, kind of really canceled out that that collaboration, which I get it. You know, a lot of us were hit hard in 2020, late 2019. However, now this year, working with them, I personally, Dennis, the beer guy on Instagram and co-owner of First Sip Brewbox, will be emceeing. Maybe if I'm cooking steaks, I might be cooking a steak, but
I'm there for that
specific occasion, I will be emceeing the event, which is going to be my first ever speaking arrangement in that capacity. So come watch me fall on my face for a great cause, which I am all about. Again, March 26th, jump over to Hops for Hearth, their webpage, and you'll be able to see all the news about that. Grab yourself a ticket. There for everyone in and around the Pittsburgh area. We are also working with Vicini Beer Distributing, where you can go there. We're doing an exclusive craft beer 6-pack for VIP, 4-pack for general admission. You can go there, snag those. And we're doing the first ever First Sip Brewbox mini box, where you're going to be able to also pick up unique craft beer snacks with your beer. We're partnering with some really cool breweries. For example, Trogs. We're getting one of their brewers on the beer fest to talk about one of the Trogs beers you're going to be having while you're watching the festival. Log Yard. We're also doing Anderson Valley is going to be on there. So some really unique breweries, and stay tuned search us on YouTube for the Daily Sip at our First Sip Brewbox handle, because we're actually doing many interviews with each one of those really unique brewers. So check us out. I know I said a lot and I drink a lot. So yeah, no, I'm done now.
Okay. Just for a little clarity on where to find all that, go to hearth-bp.org and then click on their signature events tab, or just search Hops for Hearth in your Google and it'll come right up.
That's it. Or go to First Sip Brewbox on social media, and we've posted it on every single one of our platforms. You'll be able to find one of the links to take you there to snag a ticket.
Oh, beautiful.
Right on.
I already found it. I just went into it.
Good stuff.
See, it's just that easy. And if
Jesus, Steve.
And if you want to find us on social media, all you have to do is search Hop Nation USA, and that'll get you Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And if you want to listen to brand new episodes of the Hop Nation USA podcast every Friday, as you should, then search Hop Nation USA on your favorite podcatcher like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anything that starts with pod and ends with cast. We're on those platforms. And if you're on any of those platforms, leave a 5-star review because
we are a 412-star show, but they only let us use 5. And that's a bigger crime than Steve not getting my 10-year-old R-Truth references.
Oh man, R-Truth
Oh,
the truth killing.
Oh, you're throwing me back here.
Poor Steve.
it's
Oh,
hey,
man.
it's not by me. I don't get them all.
My man Ron.
You can't get them all, man. Steve, it's not your fault. I'm on your side on this one.
It's okay, Steve. We're still friends.
All right, it's fine. But yes, thanks again to Adam and Sydney coming on, and of course, thanks to Dennis. You know, it's been a couple episodes since you've been on, but you're back.
A little bit. I'm here for all my bugaboos.
Hey, thanks. Thank you so much for having us. I really appreciate you giving us this platform to spread what we're trying to do.
Yeah,
absolutely. For sure. We are happy to help.
Yeah, it's a
cheers to that, you guys.
It's always things that we try not to bring things on this show that we don't believe in. So that's why we don't have Evil Twin on, and that's why we do bring on things that we believe in, like wrestling for everybody and diversity councils, and we bring on breweries that we like, and we bring on people who are doing good things in the brewing community because we we enjoy them.
We like to surround ourselves with good people and good things.
Yes.
Oh, hey, who would have thought?
Right.
Adam's like, because one day that will help me get into heaven.
Every little bit helps.
Right.
Well, don't you guys worry. I will take over the throne of hell. I'll make sure you guys are nice and warm, really well taken care of.
I like how Steve's not even pretending. He's like, yeah, could you guys get popcorn down there too?
I homemade my popcorn. Let's go.
Homemade. Hey,
wait,
are we still recording? I actually don't know.
Yes, we're still technically recording, but
we can
with some Cajun seasoning on there.
You can just
cut it. It's fine. You just
thanks to everybody listening, and then we'll see you next week with something new.